question that I received. And Chip, I don't know if you want to do this again. It costs me an oil change, but if anyone's listening out there, if you want to call in, we'll incentivize the call in. There's a lot of people that say they listen to what's going on in the show and they have car questions or a car experience they have a question about. If you're one of those and you would like a free oil change for your call, we'll take it at 706-453-4140. 706-453-4140. If you'll call in, we'll get your comment or question, and we will give you a free oil change just for participating in the show. We want to hear from you. One of the questions that I got, Chip, that I thought was interesting, it says, I want to trade my car, but the car's in my dad's name. Can I still trade the car? If so, what do I do? What do you think?
I think they can if the dad will sign off on it.
That's it. That's the answer. Power of attorney. That's all you need. A lot of people will come in sometimes and they'll have an ownership in someone else's name, and the real simple thing is you just need to get a power of attorney signed off. Believe it or not, the reason why I think that question comes up is we've had people trade a vehicle in and
Hasn't been their car.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. And without a power of attorney, you can't go far with that deal. Sometimes if there's a negligent business manager who doesn't pay attention, because that stuff's not really spoken about on the sales floor. It's basically, here's my trade, there's my keys, can you drive it, what's it worth, you negotiate a deal. They get in the business office, that's when all the legal documents come out and so forth, and the MV1s and all the state preparation work. Sometimes you have a negligible F&I manager who does not pay attention. It slips through, and then all of a sudden we're waiting to get funded on the deal, and you got to call the customer back because it wasn't properly traded in. So if you have a car that you want to trade in and it's not yours, you're full well to do that. It doesn't have to be your father's. It could be anybody's car. You can trade in anybody's automobile as long as you have a power of attorney that they're okay to do so.
Could be your wife.
That's
Yeah,
right.
if it's in her name,
That's
you're going
it.
to need her before you can sell.
You probably want to get her involved anyways, I would imagine. Speaking of wives, my wife, was there anything on the list that you wanted to bring up first, Chip, as far as something that you thought was interesting?
You know, Sandy had something in there. Sandy, of course, your wife, for those listening. And my wife and I go around about it. It has to do with the electoral college, how we vote, or how a president is elected. And,
right.
And I kind of understand the electoral college, but Margie is of the opinion that it just ought to be popular vote.
Yeah. What's your thought? Do you disagree?
Yeah, I do disagree. It's the electoral college is there for a purpose, and it's a really good purpose. And what I tell Margie is that, hey, look, there would be 4 or 5 states picking our president every year. The 5 biggest states: California,
right.
New York, Florida, Texas. They would never come to Mississippi. They would never come to Georgia. We wouldn't have a vote in it.
Well, but then the playing devil's advocate. Now we have electoral votes. We're still down to battling what was Florida and North Carolina, Virginia, and then now it's merged to Ohio, definitely. But as things get tight, now they're saying that the final state to call the president could be Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So we almost have. But I will say this. Listen, I think it's worked for 100 years, however long we've been electing presidents, doing what we do. But I think at the end of the day, it's worked, and it makes sense because I think all states have an opportunity to participate.
Yeah. Well, people don't understand. If you look at the history, and I won't bore you with a lot of it, but it was a compromise between the big states and the little states.
Right.
That's why we have 2 state senators. Every state has the same number, and the representatives are based on population. Yeah. And the electoral college is a combination of your representatives and your senators. So.
Man, I need to go back to political science class, Chip. You maybe can teach one.
Yeah, well, that's why it's a compromise.
Yeah.
They argued about it. The big states, before as the Constitution was being written, just wanted popular vote, and the little states go, no, wait a minute,
yeah.
We want it the other way. So.
All right, well that's our political for the first break. Well, let's get into some stuff about renting cars. I want to tell everybody, right? Have they changed this yet?
Yeah.
No, I think politics is great. I tell you, it's interesting that this whole election, although I am ready for it to be over, I think a lot of people are. Man, it has been a barn burner. It has been. And anytime you get the country involved at the level that they are, of course, I think we'll all agree we're extremely divided, which is not good. However, everyone's engaged, and I think that's a good thing.
But in devil's advocate, I think being at odds is good. I mean, everybody's getting the voice, everybody's bringing the voice. If everybody agreed on everything, it'd be kind of boring.
Well, you got a point. You got a point. One thing that I hope everyone can agree to is if you need to rent a car, you got to find somewhere to rent it. So we have just launched our Toyota rental car service. It's our TRAC program. So everyone knows This is a full-fledged business. This is another. It stands alone in our dealership. It's literally just like Hertz Enterprise Rent. You know, it's like any other rental outfit that's available out there. But there are some differences that Toyota allows us to do as they underwrite all the policies and procedures that we have. The first thing I just want to note is to let everybody know that I think is cool is all of our cars are brand new Toyotas. Now, why would I say that, and how's that a big deal? Well, a lot of rental car companies, as you know, especially satellite facilities, like we have an enterprise in Millersville. They do good business, but it's a satellite store. So if you need a rental for the day and you need a van, and they're not going to shuttle one from Atlanta out there for that one-day rental. You know, so they're kind of in a tough spot. Plus, the cars that they get, these cars are all from Atlanta and airport cars. You're talking 45, 55,000 miles in these cars, worn down, more. You know, the same rental experience you would imagine. Well, what's cool about how Toyota Rental Car Services set their deal up is they allow us to actually purchase these cars from the rental car company into used cars, which we'll talk about later and how that benefits you, the consumer. But basically, our cars will have about 3,000 miles on them. Everything we have will literally be a brand new car because as a car gets 2 months old, 3 months old, we're already buying brand new Toyotas to put back in the fleet. And at the 4th month, we're taking them out of rental car service, putting them into used cars, and now you've got a new set of 0 mileage new Toyotas. So what I think is for the customer, what an experience is, and we've all rented cars. What an experience to get into a nearly new car every time you rent one. I mean, that's just nice. You know, you still have the new car smell. Everything works. The buttons are all intact. I mean, it's not, you know, there's not burn holes everywhere, worn out, and so on and so forth. The cars don't need the services. So if a car's been driven for a while, an alignment, you know, and maybe they're slack on getting their cars through the shop or whatever the case may be, all of our cars are nearly new. So I think it's important to note that if you rent a car from Louie Herron Toyota, you're going to get a brand new car. It should have anywhere between 3,000 and 5,000 miles or less on the car, which it's almost a demonstrator. I have people that buy new cars from us that have been a demonstrator, a demo car, and they got 5,000 miles on them, and they buy them and they're nearly new. Yep. So I think that is a huge advantage we'll have in the competition, but I also think it's a huge advantage for a consumer. If you're going to take a car and you need something for Thanksgiving and you want to rent a van, okay, you want to rent a van, get in a brand new van with DVDs. The other thing I want to tell you that's really neat is we have the option when we buy these cars in our rental car fleet, I can capitalize costs, which is it's high talk for basically get a lot of equipment for nearly no money. From my perspective, we have a holding cost. Every single day you've got to get at least $25, $28 minimum for it to pay for itself, or you're losing money. You got to get at least, that's what the car will cost you on a day-to-day basis. But when you can add DVDs, navigation system, running boards, nicer equipment on these cars, which again will help the used car market when we bring these into use, you're renting nice stuff. So it's not going to be the bottom of the barrel base cars. I mean, when you rent a car, if it's a 4-door sedan, it's probably going to be an SC with navigation, you know, and leather interior.
Louie, are you going to have the full complement of Toyotas, trucks, vans, SUVs?
We are going to have we're going to have a fleet of cars that's large enough to accommodate the demand. So and the reason why this show is typically how to buy a car and the do's and don'ts, the reason why I wanted to make us just a special show to talk about rental cars is because as the demand gets higher, we're going to stack more cars. We're now starting with a fleet of 10 to 12 cars, okay? We plan to go to 20, 25 cars. But remember, as the owner of the rental car company, if I've got 15 cars in stock or 30 cars in stock and it's an average of $800 a month per car, I've got a $30,000 expense. Those cars have got to be on the road. So the benchmark is we've got to have 72%, 75% utilization. So if you go to rent a car, if I've got 30 cars and you come to look at my cars to rent one, really you shouldn't see 30. There should be 21 gone and 7 left on a day-to-day basis. So to answer your question, and on the next break I want to get into trucks and towing because it's a big difference between what we do and what other rental car services do. But yes, we look to have vans, SUVs, mid-size sedans, full-size sedans, and compact cars as well. So we're going to have a whole array. But it's going to be based on word of mouth and everybody listening now, letting people know, hey, Louie Herron rents cars now. And again, it'll be a full-fledged rental agreement contract, just like you get from Hertz or Avis or Enterprise. So it'll be a cool thing.
All right, very good. It is.